WAME and W225BD, Statesville.
Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
From the racing world with their stories, their paths,
Their
racing
racing
roots.
Sponsored by Swimming Pool and Spa.
Now here's our host, David Hamm.
And good evening and welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm, right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and DHammiam on YouTube. So if you're driving home, wait till you get home and you can go onto YouTube and you can see us here live in the Randy Marion studio because we got Bob Rahilly on with us. I meant to ask you, am I saying that correctly? Because it could be Rahilly, you know.
I've been called so many things. No.
Me too.
Rahilly is technically right. Rahilly is fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference.
Well, I've heard Mike say it so many times that Mike Lancey. Yeah, he says your name a lot, quite a bit, which is a good thing. I mean, he always says it in a good way. You know what I mean?
I like Michael.
Yeah. He's a very smart guy too, right?
Yeah, good, very, very neat guy.
Yeah.
Works hard.
He does. He is a hard worker, and I've had the pleasure of being around him a little bit more lately. It's been having a good time. Hey, where's this sound coming from there? Is it mine? Is it my phone? So I have YouTube Premium now, so I have to remind myself that whenever I lock my phone, it can still be playing. So anyway, that's probably
And it's still playing.
And it's still playing. But it's not playing. That's the funny thing about it. It's not playing. All right. So we have organized chaos here as usual, but
That's
we're going to
life.
have...
That's life.
It is. We're
In
going to have a
fact,
good time.
My nickname used to be Captain Chaos.
Captain Chaos. That's what they called you, really?
Some of my employees called me that.
Oh, okay. Did Butch Mott call you? What was his name for you?
Just Bob. Just Bob.
Just Bob.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Well, so we had Bob. We had we had Butch Mock on with us a while back. You know, I guess it's been about a year ago or so.
Okay.
But I didn't realize that you were still around as far as being local and all that kind of stuff. Because
yeah, I'm kind of quiet. You know, kind of in the background. Work hard, stay real busy. You work 7 days a week, so I'm not quite the socialite type.
I got you. Yeah.
It's me. It's just me and my machines and my pets.
So you're still doing machine and engine building, right?
Oh yeah. We're still building racing engines. My brother and I, you know, still doing it every day. We've got engines running every weekend at Bowman Gray Stadium, all different venues all over the country.
Okay.
We've been at Bowman once and really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's an awesome place. I mean, it takes you back to your roots and just Saturday night racing, and you either leave there happy as hell or mad as hell.
Oh yes. Yeah.
True.
Oh,
Very true.
they're getting quite a reputation here lately. They already had it.
They already had it, but they reinforce it on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun. We started at Bowman Gray maybe 5 or 6 years ago with a couple guys, and now we got a bunch of them. And I think we got last time my brother told me, I think we got 70 poles and 50 something wins, 4 or 5
That's good.
championships.
Oh right.
Yeah, it's neat. It's really neat.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do they have like a Hall of Fame or a, you know, like up in Mount Airy, you know, they have the Moonshiners reunion thing coming up. They got a Wall of Fame. Bill Blair's big into that. We were talking about him earlier.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was wondering if they had one of those for Bowman Gray.
Don't know. I mean, they may. Like I say, I'm kind of, you know, on the mechanical side. My brother kind of plays the PR side.
Okay.
And so he might know, but I don't.
Is that your brother Dick?
Yeah.
Okay. Dick Rahilly.
Yeah. He's been beside me since we were little boys. I mean, we started together. Yeah, when I was about 14, building race cars, and he was 12. So we kind of
You're right there in age together.
and been right there with me. I mean, he's an incredible machine, and the whole time we've worked together, I think he only missed a week of work once.
All right. So he is what is his? All right. So everybody kind of specializes in one thing or another. You know, it sounds like you specialize in everything.
Well, nowadays they do.
Yeah.
But because everybody's got 100 people working.
Yeah.
But when we started, you had to do it all. I mean, we don't specialize in anything. We do it all. We crisscross and do everything.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I mean by that is like you have your strong point. Like, what are you the best at? Probably engine building, but you can do transmissions. You can do you can fly an airplane, right? Yeah. You can do everything. Yeah. So maybe it's like a jack of all trades kind of thing. But
yeah, I wouldn't say a specialist in anything, but in our shop currently, you know, I'm the cylinder head guy and I run the business. Okay. And but we're also both fabricators. We also build race cars and maintain race cars. So we're kind of full circle.
Yeah. So when Mike explained how you are, he said, I was trying to find his exact, that's Mike Hill. We just heard from Mike Hill a little bit ago. And I told you that's what happens right before the show starts. I'll get either phone calls and texts and stuff, but it's always good stuff, you know. But then I get sidetracked and might miss a few things here and there. But he says you were a complete bad A in your day. Engine builder, machinist, ground your own cams, built the transmissions, built the rear ends, and hung bodies, fab work, and team owner, crew chief, and pilot for the team.
Yeah, and tire changer, jack man.
Okay. Gosh.
One man show.
Well, the difference was I had an advantage over everybody. We were poor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're poor, you don't go buy things.
Yes.
You learn how to make it yourself. That's the only avenue for survival.
Yes.
Very true.
So it makes you whole. You have to be.
All right, let me ask you a question about that. And I'm going to see if you're the same way that I am in certain ways. So if you're using, let's say, shop towels that you buy, you know, the kind that you throw away.
Like paper towels.
Paper towels.
Yeah.
All right, so I use them to where there's like absolutely nothing left that I could use that towel for. Like I'll have a little stack here of partially used, but I don't want to use them to, you know, wipe off a crank journal, but I can use them to wipe off if I spill oil on the floor or something, you know, and I have different levels of dirty.
We're that way to a degree. Not so much with the paper towels, but we certainly are that way with the shop towels because, you know, you get some of them full of axle grease, you throw those in the garbage.
Yeah, well, sure.
And, you know, you get gear oil. I mean, you can't quite clean those. But if they're kind of reusable, I mean, we wash them. We got a washing machine right at the shop, and we'll wash them, dry them, and put them right back on the shelf.
That's a good idea. I thought about doing that too. So
Yeah.
Just make sure you have a dedicated washing machine for the shop racks.
Sure, yes.
Okay. Do not wash your clothes.
Oh, I can't take them in the house and wash them.
No. Now, first off, you'll get killed.
Oh yeah, yes.
And deservingly so.
That's right.
I think she wants a different
I'll
wash
just
machine
wash
anyway.
your clothes. Yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah,
need
you could
another
wash his
washing
clothes with the gear oil
Exactly.
rags. Yeah,
Exactly. That's his washing machine in the
Sounds
house.
good.
Yes, gear oil's a bad thing. It's
it's nasty.
So, David, let's go back to the beginning, please.
I told you this is what's going to happen here.
That's all right. Everybody's got a boss.
Yeah.
I'm not the boss, I'm the coordinator.
Oh, joy. Here we go. Let's see. Go ahead. Say hey to the camera there, Tracy.
Oh, which one?
Right here, right in front
Oh,
of you.
Lord.
The Tracy cam. I don't think I introduced you the correct way.
He never does.
And Bryson over here to my left, the young 16-year-old Bryson, who is the, all right, so who does he look like, maybe? I mean, we'll go there one more time, last time. Either a Patrick Swayze or a, what's the other guy's name, Bryson?
I don't know. I've got a couple. John Stamos was the one you said, right?
Yes, John Stamos.
I don't know.
I just want to know how these 16-year-olds are so smart these days.
Yeah. He's a smart
True.
one, that's for sure.
I would say internet.
Yeah. They're raised early with they can have an answer to everything at their fingertips. We used to have to go to the Encyclopedia Britannica,
Oh, yeah.
and you know that book's really thick,
Yeah.
You
so
were
you
rich
get
if you had 'em.
sidetracked.
Well, you get curious.
Or how
type
about
a
you? We
question
couldn't
in
get
Google.
the answers at all.
Exactly.
True.
So you just
And
made up your own answers.
Nowadays, you got the answer to anything here in like 30 seconds.
Exactly. And
That's
it's
for
not
sure.
always
That's the
right.
difference. No, it's not always right, but it's a start.
Okay, Tracy, go ahead.
All right. So my question is let's just start back from the beginning. So how is it that you got your start into racing?
Guess I got lucky. met a school buddy, 5th grade, about 12 years old. His daddy owned a Phillips 66 gas station. And so he was a car guy, because his daddy was. And one day he came in and said, "Hey, Daddy's going to take us to the races. You want to come with us?" And it's like, cool. What race? Some race in Indiana. They call it the Indianapolis 500.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, a 5th grader, I kind of knew what it was, I guess. But, until I got an adult, I didn't know the magnitude of it.
Exactly.
And we sat up in his dad, Johnny's dad, bought tickets to the grandstands, and I sat up in the grandstands and watched Jimmy Clark win the Daytona 500 in 1965.
Awesome.
And I was holy hell hooked
There you
right
go.
after that. And being in South Florida, close proximity to Sebring and Daytona. Next thing we would know, I went to Sebring in 65. I saw Jim Hall and Hap Sharp win the race in a Chaparral powered by Chevy. And I've always been a Chevy guy. And that was big for me. Of course, Daytona. And just escalated, like so many things, a hobby, ends up growing into a profession. I mean, started life as a bag boy, worked at a tire store, Bobby John's in Miami, went into construction, built houses, went into high rises as an iron worker. I was an iron worker for a while. And then all the time, running our local cars that we were building ourselves. And next thing you know, it just escalated. Met Butch at a local racetrack in Hialeah, Florida. Got to be buddies, just, competitor type buddies. And finally, one day we said, hey, why don't we just take this to the next step and let's do something. So, we pooled our money and went crazy and bought a cup car from Hutcherson and Pagan, and the rest is history.
So how is it that at what age did you realize you were mechanically inclined?
One of the things I think that, there's a lot of luck in life. And I think one of the things that really helped me was I knew early on, I knew in the 8th grade what I wanted to do.
Oh, that's good.
Because I remember being in civics class and the teacher making us do this little speech at the end of the year of what we're going to do when we grow up. So, and, I told everybody I was going to make my living in racing, and everybody laughed at me. This is crazy. This is stupid. But I knew what I wanted, and I just tunnel vision. And I had it. Let me tell you, I had tunnel vision, and I apologize for everybody I mowed over in the process. But nonetheless, tunnel vision went forward, and that's rest is history.
Do you still have that?
The tunnel vision?
Yeah. Or they call it focus now, I guess.
Yeah, we're focused on what we do every day. But as far as now that I'm not full-time auto racing for a living, broadened my horizons into a lot of other stuff because there's a lot more out there in the world than just auto racing.
Right, true.
Yeah, so.
There is life outside of NASCAR.
Yeah,
NASCAR.
there is.
Yeah.
There is, and a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff out there.
So one of our guests says, would Mr. Raleigh be willing to tell us a little bit about his dad? Also, who or what inspired Bob and his brother to start building car and boat engines at such an early age? So 2 questions in one.
Thanks for the question. First off, really appreciate you thinking about my dad. They often get forgotten, and in my case, it's a little easier to be forgotten because my parents divorced when I was 7 years old, and Dick was 5 years old. So we only saw Dad every other weekend. So, but what I love about Dad is the fact that he was an orthopedic surgeon. He worked with his hands, and I think that's, kind of a genetic thing that Dick and I inherited from him. And we also inherited his values of, being good at what you do. He often told me when I was young, he never tried to force me into anything, but he just always said, Bob, I don't care what you do, just be really, really good at it. And, you'll move forward in life. And that was something that was really important with Dad.
And it stuck with you.
Now, on the second part, what was he saying?
He said, who or what inspired Bob and your brother to start building cars and boat engines at such an early age?
Like I said, you know, as a fifth grader, my buddy Johnny Clark and his dad, you know, taking us to races. Dick kind of followed in my footsteps. We got involved in local racing, you know, as soon as we could, and just followed that path. It just seemed to work for us. Neither one of us was, so to speak, athletic. Mm-hmm. And my parents started me in school like 19 months sooner than they should have.
Oh.
So I was like always a runt.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to find something that I could do that the big guys wouldn't kick my butt,
That's
you know?
right. Here, let me fix your car.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're talking about the going back to the focus thing. That reminded me when you said your dad was did you say a surgeon?
Orthopedic surgeon, yeah.
Because we had Grant Enfinger in. He was talking about his dad being an attorney, and he said that that's all he does. He doesn't work on stuff, anything like that. But Grant has this very laser focus kind of thing too that he says he picked up from his dad. So that kind of makes me think to be a surgeon, you have to have that type of laser focus.
Yes, and there's no room for error.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
and
true.
you know, Grant's right. I mean, Grant's a really cool guy. I like him a lot. I think he's one of the most underrated guys going. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's right.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So who else do we have on there, Tracy?
We have quite a few people tonight. Let's see. We've got Dickie Dennis, Brett Troutman, Random Epic, Anthony Taylor, Dargan Watts, Beerman Scott Trevison, Bill Lowe, Robert Surt, Mark Smith. Everybody says hello.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Speaking
you very
of-
much. Appreciate it.
Speaking of Mark Smith, I want to mention that the Children's Dream Racers, I was telling you about them before the show started. A very cool deal. You can go onto Facebook and check out their Facebook page. And their Children's Dream Racers, basically Mark Smith, he's Smitty from the body shop down in Mooresville. Used to be Smitty's body shop. He
Okay.
paint and stuff. And he would, he's built these cars. They're just, it's like a roll cage, right? Mm-hmm. And they put a PlayStation 4 in there for the kids with the steering wheel, the whole deal. Kids that are in hospitals have a little place to hang the IV bag so they can get in there and play a PlayStation 4. But if you watch the videos on Facebook, they'll about make you cry. I mean, they're just very good. You can see the happy kids and, very fulfilling. So if you'd like to donate to that, go onto their Facebook page.
Yeah, that stuff's important. And, you know, when I look back on my life and, you know, try to figure out, you know, why I made it as far as I did, I have to say that what it really was, it was so important. You know, like I said, my parents divorced when I was 7. So, and my mom was single, and she didn't really manage us like she could because she had some substance abuse problems. And I think what made the difference was the people that I stumbled across in life that were older, that were such good mentors. And I think that's one of the things that's very, very important for development of young people, is to have, you know, older, stable, honest people kind of keeping you lined up when you start getting out of line. I didn't so much have a father at home to keep us in line, and Mom couldn't do it. But the guys that worked at the gas station, or the guys that worked at Tom and Vernon's garage, different people that we stumbled across, different people from the racetracks, that kind of saw Dick and I as guys, who are these kids? You know, where's their dad? You know, who's keeping these guys lined up? And they just, for some reason, they just kind of gravitated to us and kind of kept us in line. Mm-hmm. I remember distinctly one of the most important things in my life, the year Benny Parsons won the Winston Cup championship. We were at Hollywood Speedway on a Friday night, and they put out the Speed Sport News every Friday night, and big front page, Benny Parsons wins, Travis Carter, 21, crew chief. And this fella that used to always go to the races, well-dressed guy, smart, came walking up to me with this paper and said, "Bob, you see this? This could be you." And I was about 17 or 18 at the time, and when you're that age, you don't pay a lot of attention to what older people say. You think you know it all. But when Leroy Tate said that to me, somehow I trusted him, and I believed him, and I knew he had to be right if he said it. And I think that cemented, I was kind of on the fence with where I'm going. And I think that cemented in my mind that, like, if Leroy says I can do this, I can do this. Yeah. And it's little things like that older people can bring to younger people and push them over the line and move them forward that make a difference.
Sure.
Yeah, sometimes they know just the right thing to say to somebody to encourage them.
It was amazing. It really was. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, you get that one big vote of confidence from someone.
Sometimes you need that nudge, because there were so many people. It's like, ha, you can't do that. You don't have enough money. You can't do this from Miami, Florida. So many negative. But Leroy said I could. And when Leroy said it, I believed it.
Yep, that's right. And she worked with the Bobby Brack. So whenever I had Butch Mock on the show, he started telling me that he would, I asked him does he remember the first time that he met you? And he said, yeah, I remember. And he said, I also remembered how they were kicking our butts with whenever he was building engines for Bobby Brack. And tell us about that.
Brack was a local hot shot in South Florida. Just won lots and lots of races back there. And when we were incorporated as my engine company in 1977, which we called Rahilly and Grady Racing Engines, Harold Grady was my partner. We were building engines, trying to make a living, and you always want to get your engines in the good, fast cars and good drivers. And Brack was the guy. So I just kept pestering him to let us do some engines for him. And finally he did. And we just won a lot of races with Bobby Brack. And he's another one that was smart and very stern and very strong and kept us in line. I mean, he also knew a little bit about engines himself. So when we kind of got off to the side, he would bring us back in line. And just a great guy, still a friend today. I think he's 82. I saw him at Christmas, him and his wife, Pat. I mean, they're very, 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 very instrumental in our development and moving up through to what we did.
All right. So there's one of those guys.
Yep, there's one of those guys. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I look at him like a dad.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very good. Hey, so we're going to take a quick break. And first 20 minutes has already flown by. It's actually 25 after. Yes. So if y'all are just now tuning in, you're listening to Racing Roots with Hamm, where every Monday evening we have a new guest from the racing world tell us their path, their stories, their racing roots. And tonight we got Bob Rahilly in with us. So we'll be right back.
At Banner Drug, we are proud to say we have been caring for our patients in our community since 1996. Our pharmacy offers a personalized customer service experience you expect from a locally owned store. To help you with your prescriptions, all 4 Banner Drug locations can deliver your medication right to your door. You can call in your prescription refill order, or better yet, use the convenient refill button on our website, www.bannerdrug.com.
When it comes time to repair or replace your electrical, heating, air conditioning, or other HVAC equipment, there's no better company to call than KM Electrical, Heating, and AC in Statesville. As an authorized Trane dealer, their professional staff members are all highly trained in the latest products and services and are committed to prompt project completion and high-quality work. KM Electrical, Heating, and AC believes in excellent service with dedicated 24/7 emergency services for the entire Statesville area. No matter what the issue is with your heating or cooling system, KM Electrical, Heating, and AC is positive that they can have it up and running in no time. Call 704-876-6279 or go online to calldkm.com.
In today's world, the most important thing you can give your child is a strong Christian foundation. We at Hope Christian tour or schedule your child's free day of education.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME.
And we're back to Racing Roots with Hamm on this fine Monday evening. It's a little bit humid out, and the rain came through, and we needed the rain. You know, the grass grows. So I mow lawns on the side. That's one of my businesses. And so every time the rain falls, I say that's like money falling from the sky.
Especially rainwater, because
Yes.
that makes it go alive, let me tell you.
Yes. It does. It's a lot of nitrogen.
All right, I got the
suppose.
barbecue information.
Well, good deal. I just found it too, but you go right ahead.
Okay, so the Sharp House is going to have barbecue and bluegrass. That's going to be Saturday, July the 30th, 7 o'clock at the Sharp House.
That's right. And our good friends, the Wood Family Tradition, will be there playing. Jason and Mackenzie and Mike and the whole family will be dressed up sharply, playing their Wood Family Tradition tunes from their new album.
The Wood Family
CD.
starts at 8:15.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you haven't heard the Wood Family Tradition, they are a excellent band. They're a bluegrass. Mm-hmm. So they have all the traditional bluegrass instruments. And then they have Jason, who he plays the mandolin and the banjo and the guitar. He don't really play the banjo in the band. But then Mackenzie sings. She's kind of like Alison Krauss type voice. Mm-hmm. So very good. And that's at the Sharp House. And other information that Saturday at what time?
7 o'clock.
All right. So if you're interested, go to the Sharp House on the historic Sharp House on the Facebooks, and you can find them there. And we've also got to thank our other sponsor there, Swimming Pool and Spa. That's I'm going to turn it over to the Bryson Cam right quick and let you give the information on that. Oh, sorry, I got to turn you on. There we go.
Swimming Pool and Spa, you can call them at 704-727-2488.
All right. And they're located at 940A Davie Avenue. You throw the A on there because that's the building that they're in. It's a Pizza Hut and Swimming Pool and Spa.
Yeah, they share a building.
So that's it.
It's a very tiny shopping mall.
So I wonder if Pizza Hut's the B, 940B. It don't matter. We're not talking about them. Swimming Pool and Spa, because they will come out and put
Between
your...
the two, you can find it out.
Well, they'll come out and put your pool liner in. Neil Johnson will be your personal pool boy. Have you tried that yet? We don't have
I
a pool.
tried him? Well,
No, I mean-
I would be happy if he'd be my sauna boy, if I could get a sauna.
My wife wants some type of spa, sauna, jacuzzi, whatever.
Hot tub.
Why aren't you stepping up?
I don't know, man.
Well, I only asked for like 10 years, and, maybe one day.
Yeah, so... All right, Neil
And
Johnson.
you know how? When I buy it.
Well, all right. Yeah, here's what... Okay, that's a great idea, actually.
I won't let you use it.
I have an idea for you there since you mentioned that, but they I had you all lined up to get one, and then the old C19 thing came around, and then people quit making making everything. Yeah, so
And it still affects us.
I had me a new banjo lined up to get, didn't ever get it.
I'm not disappointed about that.
I can't keep it sitting out. She won't let it stay out. I have to put it back in the box and hide it in the closet or
No,
somewhere.
I just don't like it sitting in the living room because I might kick it or hit it with the vacuum or something.
Anyway.
If it's super expensive, I don't want to break it.
That's my excuse for not playing. Hey, speaking of instruments, do you play any instruments, Bob?
No. Okay. I hate that I don't.
Yeah.
I've often said, if there was one thing I really wish my parents had made me do was learn how to play a musical instrument. Yeah. Because I love music and I love, 60s and 70s rock and roll because that's back in my era.
Yeah.
And I'd love to play a piano. I mean, we talk about things outside of the scope of racing and the focus of racing. I mean, I'm a little old to start, but I'd love to be able to sit down in front of a piano and play my favorite songs.
I bet you could learn pretty quick.
Yeah, maybe.
With that amount of focus.
Maybe.
We got one here. It's right behind this curtain.
That's all right. I don't want to kill you.
All right. I went down to Florida and to visit my friends there, Scott and Jana, who are tuned in.
Yeah,
and,
they are.
And so I sat down at the piano and I started playing.
At the piano?
Yeah. I can
chopsticks?
Yeah, play chopsticks. I can play certain things, But anyway, that's another story. But you can do anything you set your mind to.
and if you have time.
And if you have time. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's the biggie. Time's the enemy to everything.
There's a song that says time is on your side.
Time keeps on slipping,
Stones.
slipping into the future.
Yeah, there you go. She knows. She knows.
We're just going to go in all different directions.
Rolling Stones or Steve Miller. That's those two.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Time, yeah. So my point with that was that, time is not always on your side. If you could bottle it, hey.
Jim Croce.
Yeah, there you go.
Time in the bottle, yeah.
Or if you could turn it back.
He knows his stuff over there. He's
Turn
too
back
young
time.
to know that.
He's an old soul.
I am an old soul,
He
yeah.
is a very old
is.
soul.
He's way too young to know that.
Turn back time was share. Yes, that's another one. Anyway, all right, we're,
That's
we're
a little
just going to
new
stop
for
now.
me. Yeah.
Well, Bill O does have another question,
Yeah.
if we're interested.
Yes.
Actually, there's two questions that came in. So Bill L says, did Neil Bonnet win a few races in the 75 car? If so, did you build those engines?
Yes, Neil Bonnet did win races in the 75 car. He came to drive for us at the Cup level in 1983. We started off with a bang by winning the Busch Clash. We started dead last and won the race. Came back the following Thursday and won the 125 race. And so we won 2 right off the bat with him. The engine failed in the 500. I'm sorry, folks, but that one's on me. We came back and won the World 600, which was just a fantastic, life-altering event. And toward the end of the season, we won the Atlanta Journal 500. Also that year, we won 2 or 3 of the, back then they called them Busch cars. We won at Darlington and a couple other places, I think, maybe, not quite sure, maybe Bristol, I don't really remember. But yeah, we built everything in-house at that time. Interestingly enough, this is how much it's changed. The engine that we won the Charlotte race with, the 600, now mind you, the longest race, the engine block itself, I had a local Chevy dealer in Miami that would give me all the old engines that they pulled, well, not old engines, but the engines they pulled out due to warranty problems.
Good.
So, yeah, you're always going to have a percentage of new cars that have some minor thing wrong and they change the engine. Well, the parts guy was a buddy of mine. He'd call me about every 3 months and say, hey, Bob, we got a stack of engines or short blocks over here. Why don't you come get them before the junk man gets them?
Wow.
So I'd go over there, and I found this one engine, a 2-bolt main 350, and I checked it with my cylinder wall thickness checker, and it had really good thick cylinder walls. I'm going, wow, this would make a great race engine. And I came into work on a Sunday morning and put steel main caps on the block, took the lifter bores out to 875, honed it 30 over, decked it 9-inch, and built a racing engine around that block that I had zero money in. And that engine won the World 600.
Wow.
Nice.
That's how different it is today. Today, an R07 block alone for a Cup car is about $15,000.
And I was going to say, getting something like that back then made you so excited you wanted to just go at it.
Yeah, I mean,
For free.
it's you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's how hard do you want to work? How bad do you want this? No money? Okay, let's find another way to do it.
And the excitement of getting something like that made you.
And not only that, I mean, look at the satisfaction you get out of it. I mean, you take something that somebody threw away,
Right.
and you won the World 600 with it. I mean, come on,
Right,
beat
yeah.
Richard Petty that day. I mean, this is big stuff. I mean, it's
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
that's good stuff.
So when Butch was on the show, he mentioned that it was that year it was 4 Cup races and concluding the World 600, but you had 5 Busch races that you ran in. I guess the 4 Cup was the wins. The 5
Yeah, and
Busch
we
races.
also finished 4th in points.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And then the $450,000 sponsor, $450,000
Yes.
sponsor. So with you getting those free blocks, that was a huge help.
Oh yeah, I mean that was, for all intents and purposes, that was a shoestring. I mean, it really was. And but there again, necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, if you're trying to do it and you have to do it and you want to do it and the pressure's on you to do it. I mean, when you got Neil Bonnet, which was one of the top 3 drivers at the time, and you got Warner Hodgson breathing down your neck, I mean, you got to go.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I was whenever Butch was on telling us stories about Neil, and he mentioned one. I was going to ask if you had any Neil Bonnet stories, but he mentioned one about where his wife was wanting to Susan wanting to go for a walk on the beach, and Neil's like, I'm not going to walk on the beach. They were y'all were down there at Daytona, and so he's like, well, how about this? You go for a walk on the beach, and then I'll ride down the road in the car, and then I'll honk at you in about 2 miles, and then you could come and get in the car. So he was like, he said that she was just like aggravated by that, and that was about it. She just grumbled.
See why.
Yeah, but could you see me doing that?
Yeah, I could
probably.
see you doing that.
That's a pretty good story. Frankly, I hadn't heard that one, but I'll tell you another one about Susan, awesome lady. She didn't come to many races. And when we went to Daytona, she was there for the Busch race, and she was walking around the pits, and I said, Susan, would you like to wear a headset so you can hear what we're saying? And she hadn't done it before. And she said, okay. So I fixed her up with a headset. So start the race, and here we go. And Neil's running along there. We were somewhere in the top 5. And all of a sudden, there was this huge accident. And Neil is right in the middle of it. And all you can hear is tires squealing. And he keyed the mic, and he went, oh! And like Susan went, she took the headset off. And, you could hear the cars banging against everything. And, it just scared her to death.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, that was something I'll never forget.
Wow, because he had keyed the mic, and he kept it pushed in the whole time?
Yeah. That's kind of strange, but that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, Butch was telling a story about how Dale Earnhardt, so they had, Dale drove his car at Atlanta just because Neil had something else he was doing. So he said he got in the car, and you had told him to put 5 laps. You want to do a plug check, meaning you wanted him to take 5 laps so you could pull the spark plugs out and check them.
Read the plugs, yeah.
Do you remember that story?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, you tell it, because you probably tell it better than I can.
Well, I don't want to, the funny thing about memory, especially when it goes back to, like 1989, we kind of remember things a little different. My brother and I, remember things. We both think we're right, but we both can't be right all the time because we're saying something different.
I'll tell my side first if you want.
You say your side first so I don't screw this up.
All right, so you told him to run 5 laps. Well, he ended up running 25 laps. So whenever he come in, you said, hey, I told you to run 5. And he said, he said I was running. It was so fast that he just couldn't stop. He just wanted to keep going. Right? It was so fast. But then at Martinsville, whenever Neil got in Earnhardt's car, he's like, I do not know how he drives this thing. He is not going to run good tomorrow. And then whenever Dale come up behind him, was lapping him, he said, I'll be darned. I don't know how he's driving that thing, but he was.
Yeah, those are pretty close. I mean, I remember it pretty close. The one thing I remember Earnhardt saying was at Atlanta after he drove the car he goes, man, this thing's really fast. The engine's really good. But, man, it's really loud. I've never heard a race car so loud.
Oh, really?
And what it was we used to run the exhaust pipes, one pipe out the left and the other one out the right. And when he drove for Childress, they ran both pipes out the left. So what was happening is the sound from the right side pipe was ricocheting off the wall and getting back in the car and making it very loud.
Oh, that makes sense.
So that made sense. And he loved the car. And when Neil walked in the pits the next day for the race, as Dale saw him walking in, he grabbed him and said, you better win the race in this car. And we were leading the points at that time because we had run 4th in the Daytona 500. We had won Richmond and Rockingham, and we had like a big point lead. And there again, motor burned a piston about halfway through the race, and we ended up finishing the race on 7 cylinders. Martinsville story, very similar. Dale was out of town. Neil shook the 3 down. I asked him, how you like the car, and he goes, "Oh man, this thing, I can't make this car turn. It won't turn in a 10-acre field. I don't know how Dale drives it." Yeah. We were on the outside pole, and make a long story short, Dale won the race. We finished 10th. So I mean, Dale was quite the guy. We all know that.
Sure, yeah. He kind of laid down in his seat too, didn't he? A little bit more.
Yeah. But what it reinforces is, and a lot of people don't understand this even today, is every driver has his own personality, and he has his feel that he's looking for. So what's going on makes him feel good might not work for this guy. I mean, we see it every week. I mean, take, for instance, this weekend at Pocono. There's 4 Penske cars. Blaney scream and yell the whole race. Can't drive this car. Joey Logano, I mean, how often does he run in 20th? Let's face it, he's one of the best. Penske cars. And the 21, they're all set up the same. The 21 ran pretty good. I mean, he ran up there in the top 5 with basically a rookie driver. I mean, we don't expect Harrison to match up to Joey Logano or Blaney at this point. But he was good. So you got to ask yourself, how can this happen? I mean, all 4 of those cars are set up in the same shop by the same smart people, and one of them runs at the front of the pack, one of them spins into the wall, and one of them runs 20th all day. And it's all about different things, different drivers. As long as the driver's comfortable, you want your driver to go fast, make the car comfortable.
Right.
So, but that comfort's different for different people.
What about this too? I always thought, drivers that had a lot of, let's say, dirt track experience, they might like to drive a car that's a little bit looser, a little bit, it's going to slide around a little more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's the difference between Dale and Neil. I mean, give Dale what he wanted, and he's fast. Give Neil what he wants, and he's fast. But don't try to change the recipe.
Right.
Yeah. Very true. Will Cronkrite's tuned in. Good evening to you, too. He says, "Good evening, young lady."
Yes, sir.
You know Will Cronkrite?
Yes, barely. Never got to know him well. I wish I had. Obviously quite a guy in his day. I do remember early on, I'd have to say maybe somewhere around 79, when we decided we're going to do more and maybe we're going to build a new car or something. I remember going to his shop and he showing us one of his chassis and his ideas. He was one of the guys that, there's so much of racing is, like follow the leader. This guy does it. Let's do the same thing he's doing. Will and I do have one thing in common. We're kind of independent thinkers, and we're not kind of the guys that are following somebody else's path. We're trying to beat those guys. So we know we have to step out of the mainstream and go somewhere else. And Will was like that. And I remember him showing us his chassis, and I thought they were really cool back in the day. We never went that way for whatever reason. I don't remember, but I remember him being quite innovative.
Yeah, innovator. That's the word I was looking for too. And I know that he's working on his, he has his book, NASCAR Redneck, which you can check it out on NASCARredneck.com. But he also is working on he's got some notes and things. It's like a book that he did that has to do with geometry. So if you want to know any of his secrets from back then, you can find them out.
I think I did see some of that on the web one time when I looked him up just on a whim.
Yeah. I think he has some of those in his book, but he's going to put them all together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Neat guy.
For sure. Yes. Be a good deal. All right. And then who else do we have on there? Scott Travis is down in Florida. He is our buddy Beer Man, and Dickie Dennis is up in Virginia. The infamous fence climber. Do you remember 2014 Richmond, whenever the guy climbed up on the fence and the race stopped?
No.
Don't remember that. We'll have to show you that one, because that was an interesting time. Anyway, our friend up there, he climbed up the fence, and then they stopped the race because of him sitting on top of the fence. Of course,
glad they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got experience. He was in the military, and so he rappelled out of helicopters and such. But it's kind of a funny story, because he realized he'd forgotten his cell phone sitting on on the bench or on the seat, whatever. And so he throws his hands up in the air. He's wanting to get a selfie with that 4-car going by. Hey, Bryson, do we have anybody over on the Facebook?
We do, actually.
All right.
And let me see here, because it just says Facebook user on the StreamYard. But Jim Dooley is tuned in, along with
Up in Virginia.
several others, yes.
Yep. Who else we got there? Say hello. Well, thank y'all for watching and tuning in. And if y'all have any questions, you can put her question on here, and we'll get it. And you can also always go back and rewatch this and put your question on there too, because we'll make sure that Bob gets that question and he'll answer. Because sometimes people don't think about it, or a lot of people watch this on a replay. So tomorrow and the next day, it keeps on going for a while, and you can always ask us a question and we'll answer it.
So on Facebook, Dean Johnson is tuned in. He says hello, along with Scott Trevison and Ron Argybright.
Ron the snack guy.
Yes.
Met him down at Dale Jr.'s.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He says, great stories and a fantastic career. Pretty smart working with engine blocks from local dealership.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then he says, do you see smaller teams changing or challenging the power teams? So I guess he means in modern times, do you see smaller teams challenging the power teams? And I would say, what do you guys think?
With that new car?
I think, those days are kind of over. I mean, racing has grown into a capitalized sport. I mean, it's takes a lot of money, and money talks. It's you have to have alliances with the manufacturers and so forth and so on, and it's there's not really a path anymore to outwork somebody to be a winner. And it's just, you have to outbuy them now. And it's just very, very difficult. And it's just the way the sport's evolved.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you look what happens whenever you try to do something that's not within the rules. Did you see that with Denny Hamlin and the 18 car?
Yes, it's crazy. I mean, don't know exactly what they did, but it's got to be pretty heartbreaking for those guys, because those two guys did a heck of a job, especially Denny Sunday. I mean, he's Mr. Pocono, and the poor guy gets robbed out of so many wins. It's incredible. I mean, I don't know how he can stand it.
Yeah, I was wondering, and some of our listeners can comment I've not heard, only thing I heard was it the front fascia? All right, so you think about the low point of that. Maybe they were using a metal instead of, I don't know if it's carbon fiber now or fiberglass or whatever, but maybe and it said something about it was a different, well, you might know, Bryson.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Joe Gibbs Racing released a statement, and I'll look that up.
Okay. And
because it explained what they did. And
that'd be a good one to hear.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it
Interesting.
here. And this is from the Wally Brown, who's the director of competition at Joe Gibbs Racing. He says, in our review of the post-race infractions on the 11 and the 18 cars at Pocono, it was discovered that a single piece of the clear tape was positioned over each of the lower corners of the front fascia, ahead of the left front and the right front wheel openings on both of those cars. The added pieces were 2 inches wide and 5.5 inches long, with a thickness of 0.012 inches. So I don't know how much that is.
Minute.
12
thousandths. Yeah, there you go.
I'm not sure what the gauge is on there.
Yeah, and installed underneath the wrap. So that's the reason they didn't. Because a lot of people were saying, why didn't they catch this in pre-race inspection? But it was underneath the wrap, so that's why it happened post-race. And then it says, this change in our build process was not properly vetted within our organization, and we recognize it is against NASCAR's rules. We apologize to everyone for this mistake, and we have made changes to our processes to ensure that it does not happen again. So that's kind of their explanation.
Sure.
They didn't appeal the they didn't appeal I guess the ruling. So
okay.
But yeah, those two cars are in an R&D center in NASCAR.
Sure.
Now,
All right. Well, I guess maybe it gives them a little bit more downforce in their.
Well, 12,000, obviously isn't a lot. Sounds to me like, just from what you said, trying to interpret it myself, it sounds like a little piece of helicopter tape, which is real strong, resilient tape, and a lot of people use it to. Myself, we've got an ARCA car that we maintain, And when you put the headlight decals on, there's 3 pieces, and they overlap. But when you put them on, there's no way to put them to where when you go out on the track and you run 180 mile an hour, the air doesn't get under the edge of the decal, and by the time the race is over, it lifts the headlight decal off. And that always irked me. So what I've been doing is after I put the headlight decals on, I put a little strip of helicopter tape over where the overlap is so the air can't get under it. Kind of sounds like something like that happened. But, you know, in my case, I mean, we're just trying to keep the decals on. I mean, with the, you know, with an ARCA race, and I'm not looking for an aerodynamic advantage. I don't even have access to a wind tunnel. So I haven't been in a wind tunnel since 1987. So, but, you know, sometimes you use a piece of helicopter tape to protect something. It's common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I was looking at the comments here. Dickie Dennis is laughing at Scott Trevison says the DQ Denny.
He also says prior, he says, finally somebody doesn't know me.
Oh, yeah, Dickie Dennis. Because usually everybody that comes on says, oh, I remember that. That's my hero or whatever about him climbing up on a fence. One of the funniest ones, even Doug Yates, he's like, really? He's listening? That's my hero.
Mr. Bill Blair's listening too. He just sent me a message and said he's listening.
Yeah. Hey, Bill Blair. He had a birthday.
He's enjoying the show.
Yeah. Very good. He called last week and was telling us about him being at North Wilkesboro, the very first race there, 1947.
Little time ago.
So the young man's still at it. That's
yes,
good.
Sir.
That's good. That's
Still
excellent.
Sharp as
it gives
a tack.
me. I keep thinking maybe I'll make it to 100. It's 30 more years.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
You
Stay
always
healthy.
have laser focus. Might as well do that too, right?
Trying.
Yeah, keep that brain active.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. True.
For sure. We deal with that firsthand all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever Butch was on, he also mentioned, he was talking about how he wasn't really interested in NASCAR. This is back whenever y'all first became friends, and we were talking about telling him, you know, you need to sell your little shop there. I think he's maybe 19 years old or something. And he had his own shop down in Florida.
Yep.
And he said that you were fanatical. Your aspirations were to be in NASCAR.
Well, like I said earlier, a lot of luck in life, and you know, I was lucky to know what I wanted. And what helped a lot was the fact that my first job out of high school, when I was 17, I worked for Bobby John's tire store in Miami, and he was a racer. He raced at Indianapolis and he raced in NASCAR. So, I mean, all we did was talk about racing when we weren't busting tires. And so John's was, you know, he was one of those mentors that I was talking about. And I mean, he was a guy that, you know, a 17-year-old that didn't know anything about a race car, like, why do we need a stiff spring in the right front? Or, you know, he could always answer those questions. And then he had hot rods in the back that I could go look at. And he was an all-around neat guy. So all that stuff that he talked about and all that stuff just appealed to me. And it's like, this is cool. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. That's great. So that was, hold on, I saw a comment here just a minute ago.
Yeah, Dickie's cracking me up. He says, around these parts of Virginia, they called Denny Captain Adderall.
Captain Adderall. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, sorry. Like I told you earlier, a squirrel runs by, and then I'm like, all right, my brain goes in another direction sometimes, but try to stay focused. Yeah, try to stay focused. My buddy Tom Gant's tuned in. You know, Tom Gant.
I don't see him on here.
Well, it's on Facebook.
Oh.
He was there, the engine builder for Jack Roush up at Roush. Whenever he was there, I think he ended up being 25 years, I believe it was, with Roush.
Up in Livonia, you mean?
Yeah, and he come down here to work at Roush Yates.
Okay.
So I was thinking he put more time in that with Jack once we come down here too. But we worked together for a while, so he's one of my best friends I ever worked with. So.
Who's that?
Tom Gant.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Ron.
Sorry, squirrel ran by.
Yeah, that's all right. Bryson, do you see the question from Ron Augerbright on here? Ron, the snack guy.
Well, it says Facebook user. It maybe there was one about that was asked at 7:16.
Okay. How about
it may
this?
not be the same one. It's not coming up then.
Yeah. Other than the win, why do you feel like the teams like RCR are struggling? They obviously have funds. Is it talent or setups? That was his question.
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, if we had answers for that, RC would have figured it out by now.
Right.
But one of the things that happens when you keep NASCAR's favorite word is parity. And what that means is they want all the cars to be the same. They want the cars, the engines, the transmissions, the tires, everything to be the same, like IROC was. So what happens is, where do you go? Okay, if everything's the same, there's no avenue to go down to beat the next guy. So what does it all circle back to? It all circles back to the driver. So, and as this season has started to shake out and everybody's getting used to the cars, I think you can see now that it kind of has gone back to what it always was. The same guys are running up front, no matter what kind of car, whether it's a COT, whether it's a Gen whatever, or it's these new cars. You've still got the premium, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch. So
True.
Nowadays, I mean, you know, back in the past, you could take a mediocre driver and put him with a really good, hardworking team and elevate him up through the field. And you just really can't do that anymore. And so it puts all the premium on a driver. That's why, you know, driver salaries are what they are today, because, I mean, if you were going to start a Cup team tomorrow, I mean, if you didn't have one of those guys, yeah, forget about winning races unless it was a fluke.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What would you say was the best driver that you worked with?
Well, I'd like to say all of my drivers were good drivers. I learned a lot from all of them. I wish, you know, statistically, Neil Bonnet was by far the best. And I only wish that I'd have been a little older and really appreciated. I was only 30 years old when he came to drive for me. And I just really wasn't adult enough to know how good he was and how important he was and how much of a part of our success he was. I think that had I understood that, or somebody took me over their knee and gave me a good hard spanking and make me learn, I think I could have done things better. I think I could have acted better. I think we could have performed better.
Yeah, you could have.
The problem is, you know, I was just too damn young. I didn't have enough of a broad view of the world and things in general to understand how great that guy really was, and how he was really on my side.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, if I could, it's a regret. You know, and he's not around that I can't cry on his shoulder and say I'm sorry.
Well, and you know, too, I look back and I think about some of the people that I was around, and you don't realize it at the time too, the people that you're around back then. It's like you don't realize how great they are, and part of it is immaturity, whatever, but it's kind of part of life too. Just like your grandparents or whatever, you know, I'm sure most people say, who could they go back and talk to and sit down with for a long time? And a lot of people say their grandparents, you know, their grandfather.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a stepfather like that. I mean, the guy was a mechanical engineer. He was brilliant. I didn't get along with him because I just couldn't. He wasn't my dad. And I felt like he was an imposter. And you know, then he got cancer and he died. And as it all unfolded and I was a little older, I said, man, I just wish I had time to sit down beside that guy for a year and just transfer all that knowledge out of his head into mine, because there was so much there. Yeah. And now it's 6 feet under.
Right.
It's a shame that we can't download.
Yeah.
Give it to somebody else.
I tell a lot of the younger people, I told Bryson, that's why he's so smart, is that you need to listen and take in all the stuff from people that have been there, done. Let's say somebody that's 30 years older than you, even people that read books. One of the things that most millionaires in this world have in common is they all read books, because they're learning from people that have already been there, done that. And that puts you so much further ahead.
Well, you know, that brings up a very interesting point. I told you that I was a runt, and so I didn't play sports in school. And so when there was ever like a break between lunch and the other classes, the other kids are out playing, I just went to the library.
Yeah.
And I'm a prolific reader, and there's just so much there. I mean, I used to just start at one end of the bookcase and just read every book on every topic, and it's very good. It's good stuff. People don't read enough.
Yeah, for sure. Not only that, yeah,
reading, even if it's the newspaper every day, which I used to read cover to cover, it broadens your use of the English language, because there's a perfect word for everything you're trying to portray if you know the word.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's it. Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty much in line with what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Say.
We're right on it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to Racing Roots with Hamm. We got Bob Rahilly in with us, so y'all stay tuned.
Country 550 and 92.9 WAME and W225BD Statesville.
American Stainless Tubing, a subsidiary of the Synalloy Corporation, is hiring for both their Troutman and Statesville facilities. They are in need of machine operators and general laborers. They offer a full benefit package after 60 days, as well as competitive wages. And American Stainless offers a competitive starting rate of $19.50 to $21.25 an hour for general and semi-skilled employees. You can also start earning vacation time after only 90 days. Come by and pick up an application at either location, 129 Honeycutt Road in Troutman or 123 Moorhead Road in Statesville. Make your move to American Stainless Tubing.
At Banner Drug, we are proud to say we have been caring for our patients in our community since 1996. Our pharmacy offers a personalized customer service experience you expect from a locally owned store. To help you with your prescriptions, all 4 Banner Drug locations can deliver your medication right to your door. You can call in your prescription refill order, or better yet, use the convenient refill button on our website, www.bannerdrug.com.
All right, we're back to Racing Roots with Hamm. I got so caught up in talking over here that I didn't have I started to play Queen of My Double Wide Trailer. Y'all probably like to hear that. But I don't think YouTube would probably be like, all right, we're cutting you off now, or you're not going to play that song. Copyright stuff, you know.
You're overserved.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so I see all the thumbs up and the happy stuff going on there. Scott Travis, and thank you for that. Scott is our beer man. He is the Coors Light beer man from back in the day with Sterling Marlin and Kyle Petty. You know, we would go to all the tracks, and whenever we got into town, we would see those Coors Light banners, and it would make us feel good. It's like, man, here we are. Here's our sponsor. We're getting shown up. We're welcome to Bristol or Darlington or Rockingham, wherever.
Yeah,
everywhere.
You did work for Coors, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't work for them, but yeah, that was our sponsor. I mean. Yeah. So we got free, beer
Lord.
And such.
That started the problem.
It always gave me a headache. I can't do it. Anyway, so yeah, that's our buddy down there in Florida, Daytona area. DeLand. Have you ever been to DeLand?
Oh yeah. Neat place. I'm a little bit of a rail buff as I get older, and a couple of years ago I decided to take the train down to Daytona for speed weeks.
Oh, nice.
And had a ball, and went into DeLand and did speed weeks, and then afterwards went back to DeLand, hopped on a train, and took it to Fort Lauderdale. So that was big stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that is a great idea.
Yeah.
And were you from Fort Lauderdale area?
Yeah, I was born in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, both my brother and I. And, we lived down there till basically we were about 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Fort Lauderdale, we've been down there a couple times.
Awesome place. There again, I just lucky. I've had so many lucky breaks. Born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, especially, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. What an incredible place to grow up.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
How many times did you drive down to Key West? How many times did you drive to Key West?
Oh, yeah, lots of times. What I fondly remember from my dad before my parents split up, like in 1960, there was a big hurricane, Donna, and it wiped out the Keys. Mm-hmm. And it was a horrible storm. And Dad used to take us down to Key West about every other weekend.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes we only made it to Isla Mirada.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
But Dad was a rail buff, and there used to be a railroad going to Key West.
Oh.
So he'd always go down there looking for artifacts.
Oh.
And they used to be around we'd find them in the 60s because the railway was destroyed, I think, in about 1935. So it was only 25 years later. So there was a lot of stuff. And yeah,
David,
keys are cool.
You're speaking David's language with the artifact stuff.
Now, hold on, though. I got to ask you a question, Tracy. You just said, like you didn't realize that there was a railroad that went down there.
I didn't.
Okay. So that tells me you don't pay attention to what Jimmy Buffett says, for one. And number two is that when you're going down the A1A down to
US
Florida
1.
Keys.
Yeah, US 1.
US 1.
Yeah.
You can see
the old bridges.
Yes.
I'm usually driving, so I'm not looking because I'm terrified of bridges. So my focus is on the road straight
That's
ahead.
Scary.
She's definitely laser focused.
I guess so. I mean, okay. But there's people walking over there. There's trees. There's trees growing on this bridge.
Okay.
And it's old train. Okay.
Wasn't that like a project to create jobs, just like coming out of the Depression, or am I thinking of something else?
No. It started way before that. It was started in like 1913. That was Flagler's pet project to build a railway. It was down to Key West, and it was an impossible task, but it just showed the power of men back then, and they did it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is good stuff.
And it was destroyed once while they were building it by a hurricane. They went back and kept on going. It's an amazing story.
Wow. Yeah, how about that? And listen, I'm not making fun of Tracy.
Of course you do.
I am not. I'm just stating that it is just hard for me to believe that you haven't seen that. That's all. It's all good.
You laugh every time there's something that you say that I don't know because you expect me to know exactly what you know.
Well, okay. I think Bob knows what I'm talking about. We're not going to
No fighting.
I know,
no
right?
Fighting. Kiss and make up.
No, what I'm saying is like even when he's talking about stuff NASCAR related to different people, he neglects that not everybody understands it, and it's second nature to him.
Well, and I don't make fun of them. I just take for granted.
Right, that's the word I was looking for. You take for granted that they don't know, so you have to sometimes break it down to like kindergarten level for some of us.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I do. I got to do pretty good with that. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Hey, I understand people got to learn stuff, but the thing is, I guess with me being in it so long and doing that, whatever, you just start talking. I just start talking about something.
You do it without thinking. It's just
exactly.
natural.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a flow. It just flows.
That's it. And I mean, because you're used to, when you're used to working around people, you're with them more than you are your family.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all talk about stuff and it just flows.
I mean, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying that you marvel at the fact that I don't know everything that you know.
Do not.
Oh, I think you're being a little rough on him. I don't know that he marvels at it.
Oh, this is nothing. Wait till later. Wait till the belt comes out and the whip cracks. So Scott says,
we pay for that show.
Henry Morrison, Flagler rules. Yeah. All right.
All right. So Random Epic says Kyle's pink and blue Coors Pontiac is still the best paint scheme in his opinion.
Yeah. The pink 95.
Yeah, I think you have a photo of that one.
Pink, what'd you say? Pink and what?
Pink and blue Coors Pontiac.
Yes, that's right.
You have a photo of that in the house.
I do. Yep. I have one of me pushing it down in Charlotte. I was back there pushing the car. Yep. You know what I should have done at break? I should have turned the air conditioning back on. Because it is hot in here. Especially when I'm getting...
Well, I mean, look at all the hot air it's coming out.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, that's a very good point. And I got these lights behind me too, so yeah. Hey, Bryson, that would be awesome. Because at this point, I don't even care if the sound goes into the microphone. That's why I usually don't. I usually turn it off because it blows.
You need one of those little personal fans, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I do.
Because I'm comfortable.
Okay, we're good.
But then again, you got more clothes on.
I do, yes. You're always cold anyway. All right. And so the other. All right, what was your favorite paint scheme? I just thought about this because we were talking to Julio. Robert Surt called in. He called my phone before the show, and he was talking about that dinner bell car. He loved that car, the paint scheme on that one.
I probably tend to key into the Valvoline colors.
Okay.
I mean, I always thought our Valvoline cars were super cool, and
that's too loud, Bryson. Sorry.
They were always, a great sponsor, and let us get places we weren't going to get without them.
Sure.
So I kind of partial to the Valvoline colors.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. All right, I did see a picture of you, and you were on the Valvoline. I think y'all must have had a bunch of people pile on the golf cart or something, because there was like Bobby Hillen, Bobby Allison. You were on the very back top. I guess you were standing up, and I don't know who the driver was. I mean, driving a golf cart. You
Don't
see
remember
that
that
picture?
one.
Okay.
I'd like to see that picture. Yeah.
Yeah. I will find it and show it to you.
All right.
I thought that was pretty
Appreciate
interesting. That. Yeah. All right. Did you work with the Suitcase Jake?
Yes. There again. I keep going back to the mentors.
Yes.
Okay. But that's where the education comes from. You learn from people that are smarter than you are or have more experience. And been so lucky to stumble across people like him.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'll give you a quick little Jake story. First race. I told you we won the Busch Clash. Okay, that was our first race with Hodgdon, with Neil Bonnet, with Jake Elder. Okay, so I built up a qualifying engine to qualify, and I think we qualified maybe third or fourth for the race. Mm-hmm. So we go to breakfast morning of the Busch race, and we're getting ready to pull the qualifying engine out of the car and put our Busch Clash engine in, because I had the qualifying engine on the edge.
Okay.
Okay, it's on the edge.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking a 25-lap race for this engine. This is a hand grenade.
So that would be like, on the edge would probably be like, extreme rocker ratio.
Everything.
And,
yeah, you got it. High lift. The whole 9 yards.
Gotcha.
So anyway, we go to breakfast, and we're sitting there at breakfast, and Jake says, "Hey, Bob, why don't we run that qualifier in the Busch Clash?" And it's like, what?
Uh-oh.
No way. No way. That's a 2-lap engine. We're not running it in a 25-lap race. Oh, come on, Bob. It'll last. I'm going, well, how do you know? He says, oh, I just feel it. It's gonna last. So I said, well, I looked around at the other guys, and they're kind of like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And because we didn't even dream, this was my first Busch Clash. Who's thinking we're going to win this thing?
Oh,
I'm just happy to be in it.
Sure,
okay.
Sure.
So, and this stuff is happening so fast. I mean, here's a bunch of kids that are 30 years old. We're not ready to win.
Yeah.
So finally I said, okay, here's the deal. We'll run this thing. We'll run the qualifier in the Busch Clash. But if the damn thing blows up, you guys can't hate me. Mm-hmm. This is not going to be on me.
Yeah.
They're all agreed. Yeah. We won the damn race.
How about that?
So Jake was right,
Yeah.
And
awesome.
he was excellent. I mean, he was like old school, but guess what? There's nothing wrong with old school.
Yeah.
Old school actually works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He had simple ways to address a complex system. And love the guy. He's great.
That is a great story.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was his wisdom, is what it is. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or brilliant. Wisdom pays off. I mean, what do we do? How did we win this race 9 years ago? Well, sometimes it still works. Yeah. And he was right there.
So why did he move around so much, you think?
Because like a lot of people that have a lot of wisdom and they have a lot of confidence in themselves, there's a lot of pushback on what they do and how they go about things by, people with power, younger people, or people that are unable to overlook maybe a little quirkiness. Mm-hmm. And, Jake wasn't going to fight it. When it started getting that way, he just said, okay, you don't want me? Fine. Out the door. And I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't quite get it then, but there again, I'm pretty old now. I'm starting to understand things that I didn't understand when I was 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's true. And a lot of times when you get older, your patience level goes up, but your tolerance level goes down to where you're like, I don't have to put up with this
Exactly.
Yeah. True.
And so that's what he did. But he's cool. Glad I got to experience Jake Elder. Not many people can say that,
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. Hey, so if y'all are listening on Facebook and y'all want to switch over to YouTube, you get a bunch of different camera angles and that kind of stuff. So you get to see Bob up close and personal. Yes. And Scott Trevison says, He says, great questions tonight. He also says, tell us a good Sterling Marlin story if you got any, if you can tell, or if you.
Well, I know Sterling he never drove for me, but I just knew him a little bit personally, just like you did everybody in the pits back then, because back then everybody was closer than they are today. I mean, everybody was your friend and you knew them, and you ate dinner at the same restaurants. Now they hide everybody in their motor coaches, so you don't get to see them anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the story. If the building doesn't burn down,
oh yeah,
we'll just kind of let the fire department chill out a minute.
Fire station number 1, Statesville's finest. Yep, Wormy, Jason, and so there's. Yeah, all right, you can go with your story.
All right, Sterling Marlin. Only Sterling Marlin stories that I can really remember is 2 of them. One of them's kind of funny, at least to me. It probably wasn't funny to him, but we were at Bristol. He was driving Junior's car, and he got in an accident and backed the car in the wall. And it pushed the back of the car down, and the spoiler went way down, the trunk lid went way down. So the car was basically undrivable. Well, crew chief was the guy I respect so much, a neat guy and a dear friend named Mike Beam. Well, Mike concludes that we got to get this spoiler back up in the air so we can drive this thing, but how the hell are we going to do it? Well, a yellow flag comes out, and the car comes in the pits, and they lift up the deck lid, and Mike gets 2 jack stands, and click, 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 and up comes the deck lid and the spoiler, and then he has some bungee cords, and he ties it down. So now the car looks more like a car, and it's starting to go fast. So off we go for another 100 laps or so, and Sterling gets in another wreck. And he backs into the wall again. Well, it drove one of the jack stands down through the fuel cell. And the whole damn car caught on fire. And he's trying to get out, and his hair caught on fire. And he wore a toupee or whatever you want to call it. And when he got, you never saw him without that, ever. And but we did that day.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there you go, Scott. You got your story.
That's a good one. Now, which car was that again he was in?
I think that was the Maxwell House Ford for Junior Johnson.
I was wondering because that's the one he got the burns on his neck and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when we would be up in the lounge changing clothes, not that I was like staring him down or anything.
I mean, if it was his neck, you're not staring very far.
But you're a little bit lower than that. But the burns and stuff. I always noticed that, and I was like, I bet that's where he got that. I'll probably talk to him about it, but I don't know. Well, that's good. That's a great story. But yeah, you do wonder now, and I'm sure Mike's probably like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have used jack stands, but who would have known? Really,
spur of the moment. I mean, it's the same old deal. I mean, you've got 30 seconds to solve a world problem, and it took a week to fix the car when they took it back to the shop. So
we got extra 100 laps in.
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. You had to do what you had to do too.
Yeah.
Kit Rodriguez says, fire trucks every show.
Oh, it is. They were on last week, and there was a fire truck going by. Yeah, for sure, coming from that same direction. So you worked with Donnie. Well, you knew Donnie down in Florida, right? Donnie and Bobby a little bit because they were down there too.
Oh yeah, I kind of really met Donnie, Bobby, and Neil because back in the day. The 70s, I mean, those guys were racing for a living, and they didn't make the money they made today. I mean, when Neil drove for me in '83, his salary was $50,000.
Wow.
Think about that,
yeah.
Okay? So compared to today. So in the winter, I mean, these guys are going hungry. So in Florida, we raced all year long. Palm Beach and Hialeah and Hollywood Speedway, Tampa, New Smyrna. So these guys would all migrate south and run local races with us down there. Of course, we always had late models. And that's how we got to know them. And, Donnie was always a great guy, another mentor. Bobby was awesome. In fact, Davey used to stay at my engine shop in Miami for weeks at a time preparing the cars that Bobby would race on Saturday nights at Hialeah and Palm Beach.
Oh, wow.
So, and I remember Davey used to drive Bobby's little hauler and would bring the car down, and he stayed at our shop and worked on it at our shop. So there was and Bobby Allison, I have to say, was my go-to guy for chassis information. I mean, when I didn't know what to do to my car, and even graduating over to engines and transmissions, he was always my go-to guy. It's like, what do I do, Bobby? I remember when I built my first BorgWarner T10 transmissions, first couple races, transmissions is tearing up every race, and it's burning up all the thrust washers on the cluster. And it's like, Bobby, what do I do? Get rid of those thrust washers and put Timken roller bearings in there.
Oh, yeah.
So I shortened the cluster, put roller bearings on either side. How about I still have them?
Wow.
I still have those transmissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby was just my go-to guy, and he was also the guy that got me interested in having an airplane and learning how to fly and being a pilot.
Yeah.
I mean, he called me one day on an off weekend down in Miami. Phone rings. My guy says, Bobby Allison's on the phone. So Bobby says, we got an off weekend. I got a USAC race in Milwaukee. You got a car? I said, sure, we'll put something together. So they ran roller cams in the engines. I built a roller cam engine, got a car ready, went to Milwaukee, qualified third, finished third, and Bobby flew me home in his Aerostar from Milwaukee all the way to Miami, which was 24 hours in the truck, you know, and it was like 3.5 hours in the airplane. I'm going, wait a minute, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
So, you know, right after that, I started taking pilot lessons, and because I was driving from Miami to Charlotte every week with my engines, because I moved my team up here in '81, but I didn't come up till '85.
Oh, okay.
So I'm transporting the engines from Miami to Charlotte every weekend, and I'm on the road, and it's killing me. I mean, that race is over on Sunday afternoon, and we pull the engine out of the car at the track, load it in my pickup truck, drive all night, get to Miami at 8 a.m. Out comes the engine, take it apart, get it rebuilt by Thursday and back. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. But there again, that's what happens when you want it so bad and you have tunnel vision, and it's the only avenue you have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you do what you have to do.
Sure. Well, I know we always talk about Bobby, how he would jump in, he'd race somewhere, and then he would go jump in his plane and fly himself somewhere to go race again. You know?
Yeah. Amazing guy. Absolutely amazing guy.
Yeah. I should have called him today. I called Donnie to ask if he wanted to call in, but I left him a message. But yeah. Anyway.
Two great guys.
Yeah. I tried to call.
Great guys.
Yeah. So that's what Bobby. The stories that you hear about him are some of the most amazing, one of the toughest guys ever as a driver, you know, and there's not that many of those around nowadays. I mean, you had Cale Yarborough was pretty tough, and he would do the same thing, right? He'd fly. And Ricky Rudd was another tough one. Yeah,
those were Iron Men. I mean, the thing about Bobby is, I mean, if there was a race, he was going to be in it. I mean, it didn't matter if it was where it was, where he had to go, and just a great guy, super guy.
Will
lucky to know him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Will Cronkite says Donnie was a great chassis guy. Guru for me. Yeah, because Will Cronkite was his car chief in 74, 75, something like that. Yeah, I believe it was. They won the pit crew competition, I believe, 75.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. And the other one was Lake Speed. You worked with him for a little while.
Yeah. We had Lake Speed in '85. Had a great start with him. Ran second first race in Daytona 500. I was ready to quit. Went to Daytona. I only had $7. It was only my brother and I in the engine shop in Miami, and it was going to be my last race. We weren't even going to make it there, but Lake lent us $20,000 to go.
Oh,
so we weren't even going to go, and he kind of twisted our arm and said, "Yeah, you're going. Here's $20,000, and you can pay it back if we make it." And I had $7 left, and my brother and I went up to Daytona with 3 engines, qualified, ran the 125, and I knew going into that weekend, that Speed Weeks. That was when those were the Bill Elliott dominant days.
Sure.
Nobody was going to beat him. I mean, they had more power. That Thunderbird was so quick. And I knew all the guys with the GM cars were going to jack their motors up and raise the compression and turn more RPMs and more cams. And we were already on the edge, and I knew they were all going to blow up. So I told Dick, I said, we're going to build a very conservative engine for this race, and we're going to finish it.
Oh, yeah.
So we built an engine 11.5 to 1, low lift, small bore, long stroke, and we got that baby in there for the race. And we started that race, and we ran like 10th or 11th for a while, and 2 or 3 of them blew up, and then we were 8th, and then a couple more blew up, and we were 6th, by the second 100 miles. Then by like 300 miles into the race, different things happened to different cars. We started breaking wheels. I was the right front tire man, and I'd take the wheel off, and I'd see broken spokes. Our wheels were very old.
Oh.
And Leonard Wood came over to me, and this is another one of these mentors. These very important older men. He comes over and goes, Bob, what's going on? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I know you. Something's not right. I said, Leonard, all my wheels are breaking. My right front, every time I take it, the tire off, the wheels broke. I'm scared to death. He goes, okay, no problem. We were pitted next to him. They had dropped out with a carburetor fire. And he said, there's 12 tires on brand new wheels. I'll tell my guys to put them into your pits. So we ran his tires and wheels for the second half of the race, and we were running third with like 10 to go. Neil was running second in Junior's car. He blew up in the tri-oval, and we ran second to Bill Elliott, made $88,000.
Wow. How cool is that?
How cool is that? And we had a one-race deal the morning of the race with Nationwide Auto Parts for $100,000 to do 4 races. Daytona, Atlanta, Charlotte, and one other, maybe Darlington. Well, they were so excited by that second place finish. So they gave me the $100,000. We made $88,000, and they signed us up for the whole year for $600,000. So I mean, that's the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But trace it all back. Where did it go? It went to Leonard Wood. I mean, if he hadn't have recognized, my demeanor had changed, and he hadn't been willing and such a good, friendly person to solve my problem for me.
Yeah, right, man.
None of that might not have happened.
Yeah, gosh, that's an amazing story.
I mean, it's timing. It's just we think we can control our destiny sometimes, but sometimes you can't. It takes other people.
Sure. Yeah. And also making smart decisions. When you mentioned that about the 11.5 to 1 compression, so back then you could you run anything 14 to 1?
Yeah, that was long before the 12 to 1 rule. I mean, yeah.
So you were very conservative on that.
Oh yeah, I knew the only way it was going to work for us was to finish that race when the others didn't. I had to outsmart all those guys that were trying to beat Elliott, and they weren't going to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Did you ever offset bore you did Chevrolets, right?
Yeah.
Offset on a plate tracks. Did you offset bore, 1 and 3 closer together?
Well, we used to
together.
take, the Chevy, you got the 2 exhaust ports in the middle.
Yes.
We would move it together to unshroud the intake valves,
exactly.
Like 20 thousandths per side.
Yep. That's it. Exactly. I had actually a torque plate to put on there.
Yeah, we've got that too. And when we did build some Fords in the 90s, and the Fords, we had such trouble finding cylinder walls that were thick, we'd have to offset the bores just to put the bore in the thick part of the cylinder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, So we didn't have access to, all the premium top of the line blocks. We were always getting the second tier stuff because all the good stuff was going to Roush.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Wow.
Another question came through.
Yep.
So, TCHAPPS, T-Chaps, 88 says, Bob, how much did the Hoosier tires have to do with Neil's success in 77, 78?
It wasn't 77 and 78. It was, I believe that was 89. When we won the Richmond and the Rockingham race, we won those on Hoosiers. And at the time, it was an advantageous tire. It was obviously an advantage. And of course, in racing, that's what you're doing. You're looking. Talk about advantages. Dale Earnhardt, that's an advantage. I don't feel bad about having an advantage if one presents itself. You know, so you take advantages whenever you can take them. And it took a lot of nerve to go that route when nobody else was doing it. So, but Neil and I got together at Daytona, and we wanted an advantage, and we capitalized on it. It paid off.
Good deal.
Yeah, that's a good decision.
So Dargan also says, Tracy, ask him if he remembers Jim Fenton from the Tampa area, who won a lot of races all over Florida. Also twist his arm a little and pull him down to the racing's north turn on February 23rd.
Jim Fenton, yes. How can you not forget it? Orange number 4 from the Tampa Bay area. Hell of a driver. We rarely saw him on the East Coast, but we saw him whenever we went to Tampa or St. Pete. Hell of a driver. Friend of Bobby Brack's, I might add. He did come to Palm Beach Speedway to race with us one time. Went out there and practiced and came in and just jumping up and down thinking he's never gone so fast in his life, and he's got to be the fastest guy there. And one of his crew comes over and goes, what are you doing out there? What do you mean? I'm hauling buns. He goes, you're not. What do you mean I'm not? And he was way off the pace. But Palm Beach was a very groove-specific racetrack, and he just did not know how to run the track, and it took him a while to catch on, but he did. He did catch on, and great guy. Still a great guy, yeah, great guy. And what was the second part?
Oh, he said twist your arm and get you to come to racing's north turn on February 11th, 2023. He wants you to come to the historic parade, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I miss out on a lot of that stuff. Brack's always trying to drag me down to Florida to these events and so forth and so on. But the bottom line is, what people don't understand is all these retired folks, I'm not smart as they are. I haven't retired yet. I still work 6 days a week.
There you go.
So, my day, I would love to attend these events and talk about it and tell the stories, but the bottom line is, I don't think my customers would like it. They want their damn motors.
That's right. That is right.
Oh, hey Bryson, did you have anything over on Facebook?
I did not have anything over on Facebook except Scott Trevison just saying how great of a show we've had, and everybody's asked some pretty good questions, and I think we've had a great show as well. So it's been lots of great stories told, and I feel like we could go on for a couple more hours.
Are you kidding me?
Sure, man.
I've been doing this for 57 years. If you put food in front of me and a couple of Budweisers, we'll talk for the next 3 days.
There you go.
All right. Well, we do have some beer in
Actually,
there.
there's another question that comes. He says, did it bother him when other GM teams started running the Pontiac Brodix heads instead of the ones designated for Chevy, Olds, and Buick teams?
We had Pontiac as a great sponsor from, I believe, 1984, well up into 1989. So we ran the Pontiac Brodix heads, and they were great cylinder heads, very durable. We used to call them 867s. They were part number 867s. I think most of the teams that were running aluminum heads at the time started out with the Chevy heads, but about everybody graduated to that cylinder head. So
there you go. Even the cars that were Chevrolets. Well, we had Pontiac with Kyle Petty. We had Chevrolet engine, 94.
Yeah.
But we had Pontiac valve covers.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They were essentially the same engines for that different brands.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We should have a show and talk about all the technical stuff there. and get Bill Blair in here too, because he likes talking about the technical engine side of things.
I'd love to talk to him about, because back when he was building engines, I know his name because our very first race was at Charlotte in 1978, and there were 64 cars there. How the hell we made that race, I'll never know. Butch qualified 40th. The 39th qualifier we were actually 39th, and there were 24 cars to qualify yet. So you talk about being on pins and needles.
Sure.
This is our first race. I mean, we barely knew where we were in town. And Janet Guthrie goes out to qualify. And she had the Kelly Girl car. It had a Bill Blair engine, and Darrell Bryant is the crew chief, and they beat us. And they moved us back to 40th. And it's like pins and needles, while 24 other cars attempted to qualify, and none of them got to our time. So we made that race the first try. And I mean, looking back on it, I don't even know how in the hell that happened.
Yeah.
There was a funny story about it, though. Parked next to us, we weren't in the garage area because we didn't have any points. We were like on the outside of the garage area. Parked next to us was Jim Vanderveer. He had this Dodge, blue Dodge, and he was a kind of a regular. I guess he was an independent, and he had a brother that was the mechanic on the car, Tom. And when Jim didn't out-qualify us, Tom got really mad. They got in a fist fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, Tom jumped him because he didn't make the race.
Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. Do you remember? All right, so 78, you said a 78 is it World 600?
Yeah, October 8th. Yep.
Okay, so that was. Oh, no. Okay.
It wasn't the 600. It was a National 500.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to mention the first race that Dale Earnhardt jumped into Will Cronkright's car.
It was close to the same time.
Yeah.
I remembered it because it was a number 96.
That's right.
I think it was a white car.
Yep.
May have been a Pontiac, I forget. But, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yep,
that was it. Yep.
Well, I was going to add, too, that we met Bill Blair at the thing in February down in Daytona.
Yep.
He was there.
Racing's North Turn.
Yes. Historic
parade. That is what they have to do.
I sat next to him.
Yeah, that's right. So Dargan had set it up to where we had different people there. We had like Brownie King and Dink Widenhouse and Bill Blair, and then let's see, Johnny Allen, and then I was actually there too because of my show, whatever. So, and Bill Blair sat beside Tracy. So when he first met her, he said, go ahead and say it.
So David and I kind of got there before, and we had already had our seats picked out and came in, and Bill was sitting there, and I started talking to him. He says, I'm going to have to ask my wife if I can talk to you.
Yeah.
Because I was like, my dad, right? And start talking to him. I'm going to have to ask my wife if I can talk to you.
Well, guys like him and so many others, Parky Nall, they were guys that, had to make something out of nothing. And, I'm glad that they get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah. Was Parky the engine builder? Who was the engine builder you sent the engine to?
Well, that was Parky.
Okay. Yeah.
That was Parky, yeah. Parky Nall's a great guy. Another one of the mentors. One day I just need to take the time before I lose all my memory and just write down all these names. Because what happens is when I start to talk about these people and mention, how great they are and how wonderful they were to me, I feel bad because I'm always thinking I'm forgetting somebody. And sometimes it prevents me from actually spitting out what I want to say because I don't want to leave anybody behind. And one day I've just got to sit down and just write all these names down and recognize these people and how valuable they were and how important they were in my life and how I never, ever, ever, ever would have got anywhere without them.
Yeah, sure. That reminds me. We're talking about Bill Blair. He could sit down and he'll start talking about 1947. Well, I don't remember a whole lot about it, but then the next 30 minutes later, he's still telling stories and talking about who was leading, who was finished, who finished second, third, fourth, fifth.
Memory is a weird deal. I mean,
Yes.
I can remember this stuff, from 50 years ago, like it was yesterday. I can be accurate about it and everything else, but some of the stuff that I'm not quite certain what I had for breakfast this morning.
I understand.
True. If you had breakfast.
Or did I? Yes.
So we had a comment on Facebook. It says Kurt Huntington. He said he bought some stuff from you in the past. Kurt does a lot of engine work, drag racing, and things like that. I worked with him for a little while at Savco. But he says, first time seeing your show, I'm impressed. I used to buy some of Bob's stuff from the auctions 20 years ago. And he asked how old you are. You're about 70, right? Didn't you say?
I'll be 70 on January 9.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the good question there, and a good hearing from you there, Kurt. And Paul Rodriguez, question. Go for it, Tracy. If you got it. What do y'all think?
What do y'all think about JGR's folly over the weekend at Pocono?
Oh, yeah, that was the we were talking about earlier. And what do we think about it? Well, it's kind of one of those things. Well, they sent out a statement about it.
Well, it's a weird deal. I mean, the landscape is changing for everybody because, for us people that have been in the sport a long time, the pathway to being faster was make your car better. Well, that's kind of in our DNA.
Sure.
So, but now we have a car that they don't want you to make it better.
Exactly.
And they're going to spank you if you make it better.
Yeah.
So, to me, it just, for myself, it just takes the wind out of your sail because you can't use what you've learned your whole life. And you're a bad person if you do. So it's a tough deal. And it's also tough to interpret, where that line is. I mean, not everything in life is black and white. I mean, what if, your decal, I put a new decal on a car a couple months ago, and instead of peeling the old one off, I just put the new one over the top of the old one. I didn't want a chance peeling the paint off. So is somebody going to look at that as, Bob was cheating, he tried to alter the shape of the body by 10,000ths of an inch?
Yeah, good point. Right. True. I mean, it's...
So, are they going to start pulling the decals off to make sure you don't have two? So, I understand the concept, but it's a tough nut to crack. And it's hard to say what to do and what not to do.
Right. Yep. Where does it end? I don't know. It's just there's a lot of things, and the new wheels that they have now too with the one lugs, how they're coming loose and things like that. I don't know. I like the old 5 lug deal myself.
Yeah, and the other problem is, they got some really some systemic problems. Now you can't even get a flat tire. Your car becomes immobile. Yeah. Look at that farce of the cars having to be drugged down pit road the opposite direction. That is insanity. But you can't leave them sitting there. And if you get a flat tire and then the wrecker has to come lift the car up, and it takes forever for the yellow flag to be withdrawn because all this hope, they've got to do something about these insane low-profile tires. I'm for going back to 15-inch wheels and with interliners or something, so the guys can at least get back to the pits when they have a flat.
Yeah.
We can't have these races. The people in the grandstands, people on TV. We can't have these drawn-out 20-minute long caution flags. Trying to peel these cars off the track. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I was talking to Chris Boucher about that, because I know it happened to him one time, and I was under the impression if he lost one tire, but he said if he lost 2, he's just dead in the water. Pretty much that's it.
They sit on that diffuser, if I'm not mistaken. They've got that big thing underneath it in the back now for aerodynamics, and it just kind of sits down on that. The old tires had the inner liner in it and everything else, so now they have none of that to work with, and it's kind of like, NASCAR just gives them the car, and the only thing different is the wrap that goes on it, and they're not given any room to work on anything. And we talked about the Gibbs situation. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of the Daytona 500. Penske, they put the extra rods, for the tire changers to use when they put the wheels on the car during the tire stop. Because they were having trouble getting the wheels on there, and they were penalized for that. Or there's certain things, certain problems that you're obviously going to have with the new car, but they're not really allowed to address those problems without having crazy fines.
Getting spanked for it.
Right, yeah. And the whole thing with the wheel coming off too. We're adjusting to a single lug, and the wheel comes off, and you could lose crew members. Crew chiefs have been, I think even Denny Hamlin, he's dealt with that a lot. So it's a lot of problems, and the teams aren't allowed to address them themselves, and that's kind of an issue.
Yeah, good point. That's exactly right. So what they need to do, NASCAR needs to put us three in charge, and then Tracy can take care of some of the some things, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to exclude you, but
Well,
you're
Bill
probably
says,
like, what are y'all talking about?
Bill Blair says, please tell David that this is the kind of guy I enjoy listening to. He has a lot of practical common sense. Great show.
That's
Thanks,
good.
Bill. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll have to get y'all together.
We got to get together. Meet me at Bowman Gray Saturday night.
On your one day off.
There you go. Hey, let's all go to Bowman Gray Saturday night. That's a great idea. And
Yeah.
Bill come out too. We'll go pick him up if we had to, whatever.
Yeah, you do that.
Sheila's a good driver.
Yeah, she is. She's great.
Yeah. His
Sheila
wife-
is great.
Yeah, his wife
Bill
Sheila
is
keeps
too.
him in line. Yeah. All
She
right.
keeps him in line.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
he's pretty straight.
he is. He's a great
Straightforward.
guy.
Yeah. All right, so if y'all like this video, hit that thumbs up if you don't mind, and also what I would like for you to do is go on there and comment, ask questions, tell us what you thought, that kind of stuff. If you got any questions for Bob, we'll make sure that I'll send him a text or give him a call, and we'll get those answered. Because that's the thing, tomorrow there's liable to be another 100 views, and then the next day kind of the same thing. So the people that are watching it for the first time are missing us tonight, especially in the summertime. People seems to be in the summertime. People seem to be doing things till it's.
We live in a
7 o'clock.
very busy world.
It is, yeah.
We're all busy.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, we're all busy.
So I understand that. But also wanted to mention our swimming pool and spa. Neil Johnson over there. The N stands for Neil. So swim and pool and spa. And Bryson's going to give us their number.
704-727-2488.
That's right. If you need your pool shocked, you need a personal pool boy. Actually, they do come out and shock the pool for you. And they'll
Really?
skim it and do all that good stuff. You don't have to mess with it. And some people need pool liners put in. And they do have
Yes.
pool liners in below ground
They do it all.
pools. And yeah, he must do that every
Sounds
day because
great.
he's always posting pictures about it.
Yeah.
So give them a call. And also the Children's Dream Racers. Go on to Facebook and check them out. We're still going to work on the website a little bit. But if you'd like to donate to that, send them a message. And that's Mark Smith over there at Children's Dream Racers. They bring in those. It's like a little mini race car into the hospitals and to PlayStation 4. Bryson, have
Yep.
you played the PlayStation 4?
I have, and I'm familiar with all the racing games. That's all. I mean, a lot of people my age have always been into video games and things like that, and I was always into the racing games. So if it was a racing game, I had it. So I understand that's a lot of fun, and that's a great organization that they have, and a great thing that they do
Yes.
for those children's hospitals. So go check them out.
Yeah, very good. And our buddy Ron Augerbites is tuned in, and he has the Ron the Snack Guy. He's the one we met down there at Dale Jr.'s place. But let's see, Sharp House Barbecue is going on this weekend at 402 South Center Street in Statesville. That's from Saturday 7 to 10 p.m. Sharp House Barbecue. So go on their Facebook page and check it out. They're going to have entertainment by Wood Family Tradition, who is always great music and great food. The food is mucho excelente, as I like to say. They have their personal chef, and they have the bell boys where you can ring the bell at the front door, and then they'll come running to the door. I like to do that just to mess around with them. Ding ding ding. Keith Ryan gets so mad. He took my harmonica one time.
Gosh.
Wouldn't give it back. Anyway, but
He's a good man for doing that. Just
yes.
kidding.
Hey, but yeah, I know y'all are going to have comments for Bob. Y'all are going to have more questions for Bob, and but we have to get running now, and but we'll make sure that he gets those. But thank you so much for coming on, Man, the stories, and you'll have to come back. Do you mind coming back sometime?
No. This is my first time to do something like this, and I thought it would be kind of fun.
Yes.
And it has been.
Good.
So I appreciate the invite, and appreciate the audience. Appreciate the questions. I'm an open book, so hit me with whatever, and I'll do my best.
Well, you did a very good job. Very, very good.
Thank you.
It was very impressive and very well spoken. I mean, you didn't, some people, it's radio. You can't come on and start cussing and carrying on and all this stuff, and you didn't.
So, Bob, do you have any social media contacts that you like to promote?
No, I don't really get involved in social media at all. I don't have a website. Just kind
Word
of
of
old
mouth.
school.
Word
Word of mouth. Yeah, it's interesting. I was a very young man when we started. I had a circle of customers, and of course, they were all older than I was, and than Dick and I, and then they got old and quit racing, but their kids started racing. So it was the same last name, just different first names.
Right.
And so we've kind of went through that. We're like up into the third generation on some of our customers. And furthermore, I mean, we work hard, but we don't produce a large number of engines like we used to. We have, we probably have about 15 solid customers that we look after, and we've been looking after them for a long time. So it's kind of cool. My customers are almost like our family now.
True.
So, and we coexist very well. And I'll tell you, there is a good one. If people want to watch a good YouTube, go to Naples, Florida, swamp buggy racing with Max Verstappen. That's what will blow your mind. And we build the engines for the two swamp buggies that are in the show. And one of the neatest things in my life is to have Max Verstappen behind one of my engines.
Okay.
That's cool. Now, he's an F1 driver, right?
Yeah. World champion.
World champion.
Are you kidding me?
All right. Well,
You'll
good.
have to see
That's
that
cool.
video. You're going to freak out when you see that one.
Yeah.
Swamp buggies.
I'll do that. I'll check it out and give them a subscribe and
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
comment on their stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of, that'd be good. And I'm going to read these right quick, and we'll get
While
on.
you're looking, swamp buggy, is it like an airboat?
It's a Naples, Florida tradition that's like over 50 years. They build these race cars, okay, and they run a 1 mile oval with 20 inches of water on it.
Interesting.
So it's like half car, half boat.
It's amphibious.
Yeah.
Yep.
Craziest thing you ever see in your life.
Yeah. All right. Well, so Paul Rodriguez says just he was listening as they were driving down the road, so he was able to get on here. And Paul, he says when they tow the new cars, if they left them too high, the wrecks the wicker spoiler underneath, and which is a big part of the area package, the back bumper. All right. Jim Dooley says, Bob, great show. You didn't need ham. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Brett Troutman's.
We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, thank you, Brett, for tuning in. He said Neil Bonnet, NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2024. He is a Hall of Famer in my book. That's for sure. And one more. Scott Trevison, great show. Tracy, Bryson, and David. And this is what Paul said. This is what I was trying to read. This was a great show. We were able to listen in the truck as we made our way to the next destination because they're still riding around after the Pocono race. T-Chaps 88, TNN used to televise swamp buggy races in the 90s. And Bill Lowe says Ray Fox and Waddell Wilson. So Waddell Wilson was on my show about a month ago.
Waddell's a great guy.
Yeah, Waddell Wilson was on, and
Another mentor.
Eddie Lanier
Yep.
was on as well.
Yep.
All right, well, tell our listeners bye, and thanks again for
All right,
coming on.
thanks for listening, folks. Appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. Hope to be able to do it again. Thanks for listening.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Click that like button.
And so next week, hit that like button if you like. If you don't, hit it twice. Yeah, that works.
Or
and
how
so,
many other times?
well, what it does is you hit it and you hit it again, and then it whatever goes away. Okay, So the what I was going to say is next week we're going to have Nick Ramey coming back and also Larry Lackey. So Larry Lackey's going to be the headliner, and
Legend.
Yeah, the two legends are going to come in together, and I believe Larry's going to talk a little bit about the fight with Ricky Rudd. We're going to talk about it this time. We didn't talk about it the last time, and stuff like that. They got so many stories. They've been, I think, combined together probably 100 years in racing. So we'll see. It'll be good. Thereabouts.
You think Ricky's going to call in again?
I don't know. Maybe we'll leave him out of it this time. No offense, Ricky, but maybe I might send you the link. We'll see. That might add a little bit of spice to it,
Yeah.
Some things just never go away.
True.
I'll tell you about that here in just a little bit. But thanks again for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Monday on Racing Roots with